Hey, happy Monday. We were a little confused on whether or not we were already live. Well, of course, Brian and I know, but that we're both alive, but we didn't know if we were live with all of you. So when you join us tonight, tell us like what cool things you're doing today. And one of the posts on my Facebook page is, are you one of those people that's already decorating for Christmas? And if you are, pop in the comment section, how early do you usually start and why do you do that? Remember the first year I bought like my own home and I decorated for Christmas over at the end of October. Like I was so excited. And I got to say, by the time January 1 came or after Christmas, I was ready to have those Christmas decorations down. What's your habit, Brian? Decorate early, middle?
Not till after Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's like the Dooley rule?
Yes.
Is it?
It should be the universe's rule. Thank you very much.
How come?
But no,
How come you don't get to enjoy it for very long and it's so much work?
we put it up, we celebrate Christmas, wait our 12 days, and take it down.
Wow.
Yep.
I don't have any plans this year for when I'm going to decorate, but when my kids were young, I did tons of decorating. And since my kids will sometimes watch these, I'll have to be honest here. There are many Christmases I haven't decorated at all since they've been older and we've lived here. So for those of you who go all out while your kids are young, enjoy it. Because it doesn't always have to be that way. So our whiteboard topic today is wellness. And for those of you who haven't joined Brian and I before, for almost 2 years now, we started on Thursdays and now we're doing Mondays, where we come to you live. It really started because we both recognize that there are those in our profession who don't really understand chiropractic philosophy, and that can be a hindrance to them when talking to their practice members or having confidence in their, whether in their office or out in their communities. And so we wanted to do what we could to help solve that challenge for our colleagues and students. So it started with us going through Stevenson's 33 principles. I don't have my notes sitting right here. Can't remember what one we're on.
I think we're getting in the 20s or so.
Yeah, I think so too. And then we jumped into, hey, let's do some whiteboard topics too. We both find that that's a really easy way to engage with your practice members because conversation leads to connection, connection to relationship, and relationship to commitment. And it's a really easy way to just like have 60 seconds of education and sharing with your practice members, so that every day they're taking a step closer to a well-adjusted life. And many times when I talk to a doc and they have poor retention, they tell me, oh, I just need to educate more. Well, yeah, in part, but retention is education plus relationship. So Brian and I are working really hard on helping you with the education element. So Brian, up on the whiteboard today is wellness. How do you handle that in your office?
I might be simple. Hey, Dr. Barber, great to see you today. Do you notice the whiteboard, what we have up there today? What's that word?
Wellness.
Wellness. Let me ask you, Dr. Barber, how often do you get the oil changed in your car?
I don't know. My husband does it.
He does it? Does he do it so that make sure it gets done? Is that why he does it?
Yeah, I have zero interest in anything mechanical besides driving fast.
You have zero. There you go. Well, here's the thing. In order for you to drive fast, is it important that somebody does the maintenance on that car so that it can drive the fastest when you want it?
Yeah, and I'm thankful that happens.
Excellent. Well, in order for us to keep the car of Dr. Barber, your own personal Porsche, running as quick as possible, don't you think it'd be a good idea to keep you working, all your parts working as well as possible?
Yes.
So that's it. That's what chiropractic's going to do today, Dr. Barber. We're going to make sure that your brain is talking to your body, all your parts are working in prime condition so that you're running through life as fast as you can, enjoying every minute of it with the window down, playing great music. So hop aboard. Is that what you would like?
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. The other day, my husband had to take his truck in and like they hooked it up to this computer thing, which does all of this diagnosis, and it kind of runs through all of the truck systems or whatever. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
man, that would be so cool if human beings, you could be like hooked up to something and it runs through all of your systems and tells you like what kind of function it's at each system, and then if there are problems, what you have to do to correct them.
Well, let me show you this poster on the wall. Do you see that here's the picture of the body, has all these lines coming out of it?
Yeah.
So that's the system that you're looking for as far as in the human body is your nerve system. And so all those lines, right? You see this line's going to the heart, this one's going to the lungs, and this one's going to the kidneys. That's like all the different engine systems in your car. And so just as it's important to maintain all those engine systems, it's also important to maintain that spine of the body because we want all those messages getting through as quick as possible. So, and as clean as possible, right? We don't want to have dirty gas in the car. We don't want to have dirty gas in your nervous system either. And so that's what's going to keep you running down that happy highway in Alaska.
Wow. So then when do you check all of those? You know, kind of like plugging his truck in. He doesn't get it checked very often unless there's a problem. When do you check all of those systems?
Well, for my personal Porsche, I want to get it checked once a week. And the reason is I want to perform the best I can for you. I want to perform the best I can for my family. And I want to perform the best I can for everybody else that I come in contact with. So I get myself checked once a week. I'd never ask you to do more than I'm willing to do myself. And so that would be my recommendation is to come in, see if we have to do anything. Wouldn't it be great if we didn't have to do anything? Wouldn't it be great if your husband got hooked up to that machine and everything came back working perfect?
Yeah, I don't know if they have a machine that reports that because I feel like every time the car dealer wants to find something, you know, like the service station wants to find something wrong with his truck. So, but yeah,
Yeah, and that's yeah, but wouldn't it be nice if it didn't? So
yeah,
let's assume that the car dealer is being honest, right? And they just happen to be following. So, and that being said, so if he does have a vehicle that does just happen to need more regular maintenance, isn't it good to go ahead and do that maintenance if that's the car that he loves to drive?
yes,
And
yeah, I
it's the
just think
same.
it's important.
Yeah, it's the same with us, right? And here's the thing. At some point, your husband may decide, hey, I want to get a new truck. I want to get a faster car or whatever it is. But here's the kicker with our spine. It's the only one you and I get. So it's a really good idea to keep it maintained as well as possible so that you're enjoying life to the fullest.
Nice, thank you. Awesome.
You're
So I
welcome.
love, let's
Lay
say her
down,
name is
$35.
Paula and Tiffany. Thanks, ladies, for joining us. You know, I think one of the misconceptions about wellness is that, oh, I'm well, right? Like I don't have any problems. How do you discuss that with a practice member when
That,
go ahead.
hang on a minute. I'm looking up something because I have. Let me check something. I'm looking up. You know, like wellness. You're not well, right? Yeah. So wellness, NESS is a state or condition. I had a feeling that that's what it meant. It's a state or condition, and this is not that I'm going to. This is between you and I, and not what I'm going to talk to a patient about. But it's a state of condition or being well. In order to get to that state or condition, you're going to have to put some work into it. And so, and that's principle 15. There's no motion without force. It's principle 4 and 5, the triune of life, intelligence, force, and matter. It's cause and effect is in there. It's number 6, which is time. It's 24, which is limitations of matter, right? Our matter's limited. It'd be nice to just turn the screws once and be done, but it's not. We have to keep working on ourselves. Anybody that's gone to the gym in January lost all their weight in April. What did they look like again next January because they quit going to the gym? However, what if they would have kept up with it? And so if I'm going to be talking to a patient about that, it might be, well, Mr. and Mrs. Patient, you know, what was your health like, 5 years ago compared to now? And usually it was better, right? And and here's the tough one, and you have to be willing to say it. Well, would it be fair to say that the choices you made 5 years ago to now kind of put you in this position.
Mm.
And if it does, and that's not making them wrong, it's just a matter of fact. Well, then what do you think it would take to get out of this position? Well, obviously they're going to have to make different choices. And the best one I think about for me and my family, because I always put me and my family into it, is getting our spines checked regularly.
I think you bring up such a great point. I was talking with a client today about that. One of the ways to have really strong confidence and conviction in your practice is to ensure that you're giving care instructions that you yourself would follow. So let's say you have a new practice member who comes in, their films, like they have whatever, phase 3 of spinal degeneration. They have a litany of symptoms. They've had lots of problems. They have multi-system problems as evident in, on their scans. And then they hear from us twice a week for 12 weeks. Or, well, let's start at twice a week and see how we go. Well, I don't know a single chiropractor who, especially if they were symptomatic, would get checked twice a week. Like, I think that we're the bunch that if something's wrong, man, we are getting checked every single day, especially if it's super convenient, like you're married to a chiropractor or you're close to your friend who adjusts you. So for us to give instructions for anything less than that, when most of the time we're healthier and have been healthier than any of our practice members, that's what starts leading and eroding our own conviction and confidence, because in our subconscious mind, it says, wait a minute, that's not true. That's not what you do. So then when someone pushes against even that twice a week, we're like, yeah, I guess you can do once a week. It's going to take longer, which I don't believe that's true either. If someone increases their frequency of care, do you think that it just means it's going to take longer? Or are you of the opinion, it's probably not going to even happen?
I'm of the opinion it's not going to happen because the take longer assumes that when you make the adjustment, the bone goes back position, it doesn't slide back to where it was. And that's not true. I mean, it's just, how long, if you haven't been working out, how long does it take to get in shape enough even to work out? Right? So you're so doggone sore and all these other things.
Yeah.
You're not even getting a good workout in for like a month. Right? So where you finally feel like, boy, I think I'm finally loosened up. My strength is where I want it, and I'm off and going. So I'm with you. I don't think it's like, no, it doesn't take longer. It doesn't happen.
Right.
End of story. And you have to look them right in the eye and just say, it doesn't happen. Well, that's what my other chiropractor did. Why are you here? And I don't want to. I don't say that to put down other chiropractors because I hear that. But that's sometimes you just have to be honest. But then why are you here? I had a gentleman he is, when I say he's hunched over, here's what he should look like. He's like this, right? And he works at a golf course. And unfortunately, the guy that he works with came to me like 3 times, if that. And then his innate, he was feeling fantastic. Haven't seen him since, like for years. And I hate that because I know that he's probably not as well as he thinks he is. But, of course, he tells this guy, yeah, I went to Dooley down the street, and he got me better in one visit. And, of course, that's what this guy wanted. And when I say he was bent over, he was bent over. And so I start telling him about his plan of care after the exam. And he goes, well, I don't understand why I have to come as much. The last time I went to the chiropractor, I got better in one visit, and then I was fine. And I said, well, when's the last time you went to the chiropractor? And no lie, and this happened maybe a year or two ago, he said 1977. So that's driving around on your Porsche for 40 years, not changing the oil, not changing the brake, not changing any of these.
Right.
So that, and here's the thing. Did the guy come in? No. And so, but I sleep really well at night because I stood firm as far as my recommendations. Because if I give my recommendations and then say, well, then maybe you can do this, to a degree, I just lied to the patient.
Yeah.
If I sit there and tell them, hey, this is, what's that?
I said to 100% degree.
Yeah. These are my best recommendations that's going to get you well. okay, I'll see you once every 4 weeks. You know, I
Right.
mean, it's I don't know what it is. We have it programmed as chiropractors, and let me be the first to say I was really guilty of this, certainly early on. Maybe not as much now, but even to a degree, it sometimes falls in because it creeps in your brain a little bit. We're human, but for some reason, we think they're going to say no. But if you knew that the result was going to be good, no matter what they said, how would you proceed?
What
And
result? Their results.
yeah, well, no,
I'm
the
here.
result of the conversation. If you knew you were going to be comfortable with the result of the conversation, how would you proceed? Without fear, I would think.
Yeah, no,
Right? Well,
just
I'm
but
going to go ahead and I'm going to lay out this
comfort
care
is the
plan.
goal.
You know, does that make sense?
Yeah, but comfort can't be the goal, or we're always going to be off the mark.
Well, you're right, and by that, if you and I'm not saying that you're comfortable because you still have to deliver that care plan. You know, so for instance, um, oh gosh, for instance, so my wife and I were going to a restaurant, and you know, Dr. Sean Dill, and so I asked him about this restaurant because it's near us, but when he's in town, he likes to go to it. I had never been to it, so I'm asking. He's like, "Well, get this steak, get that steak." So be it. Then he says, "Well, see if they'll do something nice for me." I'm like, "Well, why the hell are they going to do something nice for you?" You know, and he says, "See if they'll make a drink after me." I said, "Okay." And long story short, I went into the process and knowing I was going to have a good night at this restaurant with my wife because everybody that I had spoken to said the food's amazing, service is great, you're going to have a good time. So I asked the guy, "Hey, can you make this drink called the Shank Dilly?" And the guy says yes. You know, which I never would have done. And the cool thing about it was, you know, so then I tell the students about this story because it made what was going to be a fun night a really fun night. It was just a fun thing to do. But I totally went into it thinking, yeah, I don't care. You know, he could have said no. And I had said to myself, I'm okay with he says no, but I'm going to give my best run at this. And it's really no different than delivering a care plan. And so what was funny is that's just led to all these things happening. Liz, who's the waitress, the server there, every time somebody from Sherman makes a reservation there, they ask for her because she's all excited because she's like a local rock star. You know, Jason loves us. Anybody at Sherman, and so you know, and it was funny because the students were like, "Well, what kind of pull does Dr. Dill have that they made this drink?" And I said, "Here's the key." I said, "He doesn't have the pull there. I have it because I'm the one that asked." And so, and that's where we have with our patients. We just have to deliver it. And you know what? They might say no, and that's okay. At the end of the day, be okay with the no, but deliver it with the idea of if you are completely okay with the no. I know that they need to be under care. You know that they need to be under care, but we can't make that decision for them because no might be well, no, but you know what? Then they suffer for another month, and guess what? They're right back in your office. And it's like, well, you know, it's still the same. If you're ready to do this, let's do it. If you're not, let's get out of here early right now. Now, that being said, that's real easy to say when you've been in practice for 15 years, right? It's a little bit harder. At least the perception is it's harder when you get out. But I promise you, develop that early, and it's just way easier down the road. So be okay with the no. If it's a no, so be it. But if you're getting a lot of no's, you're probably going to get a good bit of yeses too, because at least you're delivering care plans to people.
Well, and you know, I think Tiffany said, so if you have a patient who is adamant that they cannot follow the care plan laid out, my thought process is some care is better than no care. Would you agree, or are you adamant that they need to follow the plan or not come at all? No, Tiffany, so this is, and I can't remember which training in the boot camp I went over this. So, you know, it goes back to what are your expectations of me as your chiropractor, right? And before you go into the care instructions, there are 3 parameters that I use when forming my care instructions. Number 1, your health history and the findings of your exams. Number 2, my experience helping countless others just like you. And number 3, what you told me you wanted yesterday. Yesterday you said, hey, Dr. Barb, I want to get out of pain. I'm going to stay that way forever. So go back to what they told you that you wanted. And so some care in terms of getting out of pain. So I would set it up this way is I would simply say, all right, so Tiffany, let's make this agreement. Get adjusted every day until your pain goes away. Then receive one more adjustment after that. As soon as your pain comes back, because it's going to come back, pick up the phone and call me immediately. Don't wait a day. Don't wait a week. Don't wait a month unless you want it to be way worse and cost you a lot more money and take a lot more time. Can we make that agreement? And they're like,
Yes.
yeah. So then they're getting adjusted every day that you're open, which is also why I think it's important to have enough hours during the week or enough days in the week that people can come and get the care that they need.
Right.
Check them every single day. And the one more adjustment after that is in order to find out how is the quality of their life improved now that they're not in pain, right? Because when we're in pain, we typically aren't ourselves. And so it gives them one more adjustment. And then after that one more adjustment, you can simply say, hey, let me ask you something. Are you interested in reviewing your original care plan that was established for you to regain and keep your health? Now that you're out of pain, does it seem like a better idea to stay that way or to risk slipping back in?
Yeah.
So, no, I did not kick people out of my practice if they didn't follow my care instructions, because it's care, don't carry. I mean, that'd be like kicking anyone out of the boot camp because they don't follow the care plan that I set out for them when they first join. Like, I care about my practice members' health, but I don't care more than they do. Care, don't carry, and never chase. So
Yeah.
I think it's just really important that we speak truth to them. Like, get adjusted until your pain goes away, and it's going to come back. Like, be not okay with, but be confident that their problem is coming back. And
Right.
and like that, the whole idea of, well, if you do once a week, at least it's better than nothing. Well, I think of that like somebody who starts saving money in their 20s versus someone who starts saving money in their 70s. Like, to give them the same plan, they're not going to end up in the same place. Like, the person who's waited, their investment strategy has to be so much more aggressive than the person who's 20 and getting started. Well, it's the same thing with our health. In order, like, there's so much interference that they have to get ahead of. And to me, it's just like money, that every single day we have a demand for an income, whether it's gas in our car or food or our lights on or whatever it happens to be. Like, today, there's a demand for income in some way. Then we also have this part over here that's debt, right? Like, things that we have that we didn't have the money to pay for, whether it's student loans or a mortgage or a car or whatever, that we didn't have the money to pay for, but we have in our possession. Then over here, we have wealth, right? So in order to answer today's demands, we have to have income coming in. In order to pay off the debt, we have to have a surplus of income that comes in so that we can also service this debt. And if we're going to build wealth, then we have to have 3 times as much in order to hit all 3. And it's the same within our practice. Like, if you're getting adjusted just to have your symptoms go away, that's today's demand. But you don't live in a bubble, because there's physical stress, chemical stress, and emotional stress. So the idea that it's just going to take longer, it won't, because you keep accumulating health debt because of physical, chemical, and emotional stress. And you still have that debt that you brought, and you're wanting to be healthy in the future. So that's also why I'm so adamant about long-term care instructions. And when we learn how to present them in a conversational way that makes sense and that is personal to that practice member, they say yes.
Yeah, and what I like about what you just said, so
Everything?
yes,
You like everything?
of course, because this is your filming thing, so I just agree with everything you said. I find it safer that way. Because I know how you can gut a fish, and I don't want that to happen to me. And so, but what I like that you did there was, yes, you didn't really give them less recommendation. You said, well, let's just start here. But you still did what your care plan initially required. So, all right, fine, I get it. You don't want to do it for 10 months. Let's just start with this month. But you didn't back off of whatever that visit frequency would have been for month 1 of a 10-month care plan, or month 1 of a 1-month care plan. I mean, here's the thing. If they agree to the 10-month, they can still back out after a month. So that might happen. But what I like that you did there, because, you know, if you pay the minimum payment on your credit card, you're never getting out of debt, you know, because it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And, you know, part of it, we have to be willing to ask sometimes, who gets partial braces, you know, who gets a partial root canal, you know?
Right.
Yeah, just do this half, doc. Just do this half. And I know some get above and belows. I get that. But yeah, just do these 5 teeth. If you can do that for now, you know.
That's right.
You know, and you know, yeah, you know what? I want you to cut out the gallbladder, but I'd like to save money on the close-up. So if you would just not do that, that would be terrific. And somewhat that's tongue in cheek, but we just have to be willing to tell the patient, you know, I can work with you and say, let's just start here, because the beauty of what you just did is, you know, every day they're coming in, and let's say it's 5 days a week. So every day that they're coming in, you've got them in front of you to have the conversation to get them more into the wellness model. And here's the thing we have to realize. When they, you know, I love to tell you that people come to my office and they say, why are you here? Well, hey, doc, I want my vertebral subluxations checked. So my innate intelligence is expressing free at 100%.
Right.
That doesn't happen very much. I have had it happen like twice in 15 years, but it doesn't happen much. And so when somebody's feeling super uncomfortable, the last thing they want to think about is wellness. You know, they're suffering. And so, yeah, if you have a 10-month care plan, you know, and if you really feel in your heart that you have to break it up, then break it up, but don't sacrifice the time, intensity, and frequency in the beginning, because that's where the issue is going to be, right? You know, because now you're able to talk to them and say, you know, we've done this. Look how far we've come. Do you want to keep going? Probably their state of mind is going to be such, yeah, you know what, doc, I see what you're saying. I want to keep going. And then next thing you go. So could you then put them on the 9-month care plan? Absolutely, right? It's no different, you know? So then you just take up with 1, 2 and where you go versus doing the same thing with them. Yeah, if it comes back, you need to let me know. So yeah, I think you're absolutely correct in that. And that's a way you're not really offering less care. You're just breaking it up more, right? At least initially.
And helping them get to the result that they're looking for fast.
Right.
Because basically when someone says, no, I don't want to do this care plan, it's they want to get there as fast as possible with as little commitment as possible.
Yeah.
So every day and then when you forecast for them too, like tell them, like as soon as it comes back, because it's going to come back, don't wait a day, don't wait a week, don't wait a month, and then tell them what the consequences are going to be. Because if you do, it's going to be worse, it's going to cost more money, and it's going to take more time. And then can we make that agreement? And then Tiff, you'll remember this too, that when we lay out their care instructions, right? You know, 3 times a week for the next 8 weeks, twice a week for 24 weeks. After that, every 12 visits, you'll have a re-exam, and on the visit after that, an extended consultation to discuss your progress and to ensure you're on the best care plan to maximize your healing. How does it sound to you? Oh, I don't want to commit to long-term care. Okay, no problem. And then remember, Tiff, there are 3 different things that we go through. So I would say, all right, well, let me ask you something. If you want to have a strong and fit body until your last breath, how long are you going to have to exercise?
Right.
And they're going to say forever. Beautiful. Then go through either money and nutrition or another thing that if you want the result, you're going to have to keep doing it. And then you just simply say, you know what, that's exactly like chiropractic care. In order to enjoy the benefits, which they're overwhelming, you have to stay consistent with your care. I'm not asking you to commit to a lifetime of chiropractic care right now. I'm just asking that you think of it in the same way as your wealth and your fitness and your nutrition. It's exactly the same. I make it easy for you. I break it down into 1-year increments, 36 visit cycles, and 12 visit chunks. Oh, all right. Got it. You know, it's kind of like, you know, if you look at what is it? How do you eat an elephant 1 bite at a time? Right. So, you know, like bring it down to let's commit to this. And then, but I think one of the challenges too, Brian, that happens is docs listen to this And then they'll just do like, all right, so just 3 times a week for the next 2 weeks, and then we'll see how we go.
Right.
No, no, because in that practice member's mind, it's 6 visits and they're out.
Right.
Right. So you have to give care instructions beyond that. And if you're someone who's watching this who says, yeah, but I don't know what it's going to be, no one does, because you don't know how their body is going to respond to chiropractic adjustments. You also don't know what else are they doing outside of your care that is putting them in ill health, so their body can't get out in front of those subluxation patterns.
Right.
So that's why we start with these are my instructions, like based on my experience. Here are my instructions, but they could change. That's totally fine. Hey, Brandy, thanks for joining us. Good to see you.
Hello.
And she just said hi to you too. So
Right
I
on.
hope that has been helpful to all of you. We love doing this, and we really appreciate there are many of you that reach out to us in the comment section later and say thank you. And we want to say thanks back. Like, this is really fun for us, and we're here for all of you. If you feel it would benefit at least one other person, please pass this along. And like the trailer, the banner saying on the bottom, please don't squander your time with your practice members. Like when they come in, don't do like just like idle chit chat. They can go to idle chit chat anywhere, but they're specifically coming to your office because they want a transformation in their life. So if you're talking about the Nats, this is for you, Tiff, the Nationals who won the World Series, or you're talking about, if you lived in Alaska, you talk about this ridiculous fog we've had for 3 days now. They can talk to anyone about that. But what they don't talk to individuals about are things like wellness or subluxation or innate intelligence or happiness or success. So please, please make sure that you use your time with them wisely. There's always time to make a lasting impression. Brian, any words as we close this up?
I like that you had just mentioned if if you're going to talk about the fog in Alaska, talk about it in chiropractic terms, right? So, holy cow, this fog, yeah, it's hard to see. You're worried about hitting the car in front of you. Well, imagine, your nervous system dealing with that, right? So we clear the fog from your nervous system. That's the subluxation. So, a 30-second TikTok. So see what's going on around you that you can use some of that. But here's the thing, we have to be observant and look around and say, can I use any of this in my conversation with the patient? And so that, that does break it up a little bit. As soon as a patient says something to you, be thinking in your head, it takes you 30 seconds, somehow take what they said about, about going over to the coffee shop and work it out to where you can create and make that a chiropractic story. Well, oh, really? You go to how often? Why do you go to the coffee shop? Oh, because it keeps me moving. I can't live without it. Well, you know what else you can't live without? Your nervous system, right? Pretty damn important. In fact, because of your nervous system, you'll be able to enjoy that coffee cup to its highest level, right? So, like, every sip is like the first sip, right? And so, so that would be the thing, that you can use current events, but make it chiropractic. So in the case of Nats, we all know Max Scherzer went and saw the chiropractor. So flip and say it, And so let people know. And look what he did, right? That got him to perform at the highest level. He wins a World Series. Well, what do you need to do, Mr. and Mrs. Patient, Mr. and Mrs. Practice member, to perform at a high level? There's no difference between a World Series pitcher and a mom trying to make it through the week, or a dad. Whatever it is, there's no difference in how they need to perform in their job. So what's a World Series for you, Mom? Feeling like you're on top of it and taking care of the world, because you take care of your world. Yeah, well, the only way you're going to do that is with a nervous system that allows you to do that. That doesn't have the interference of this Alaskan fog, right? And so if you are going to use those, commit to yourself. You have 30 seconds to make it a chiropractic talk. Whatever they come in with. The whiteboards are great because you always have that to fall back on. Always have it. And I get it. Sometimes a patient just comes in and wants to go somewhere. Well, that's fine. Let them go. But as long as when you bring them back, you bring them back through the chiropractic lens.
That's
That's what
awesome. So Tiffany, did you read this? So Tiffany said Nat's Game 7 pitcher talked about his chiropractor helping him get back in shape to be able to pitch after being pulled from Game 5 for a neck and shoulder issue. I already reached out to his chiropractor asking to do a Facebook Live with me. Woo, woo.
There you go. Perfect. Way to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's the worst thing he could say? No. Okay.
Right.
He probably won't.
So, yeah.
He'll probably
So
say
then what you want, Tiffany, I'll act like I'm that chiropractor and I'll do the Facebook Live with you. So, there we go.
I love to say that you're that pitcher's chiro. Cool. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks everyone for joining us today. We will see you next week. We're going to run as close to twice. Yeah, I think we'll do 3 in November and 2 in December, and then we'll be off until the new year. So if there's a particular whiteboard topic, or even if there's something about chiropractic philosophy that you would like us to address, please either Facebook message Dr. Brian or myself, and we'll be sure and bring it up on one of our upcoming Facebook Lives. I'm hoping that we can, I mean, it would be a push, but if we could make it through all of the principles, we may have to wrap some together or cover several. But then
I will say these last ones that we're going through usually in class usually go pretty quick. That you can wrap 2 of them together. So I think potentially we can make it. And I would like to say before we go, thank you, Tiffany, for being vulnerable and saying what you're dealing with in practice. So we both greatly appreciate it.
She's the bomb. She had this awesome cutting board made for me. And it has like the state of Alaska in it. And then I got a Chiropractic Edge, that's the name of her practice, t-shirt. And
Nice.
she has custom chocolates made that say Chiropractic Edge that she gives to strategic partners.
Ooh.
I'm now one of them. And Tiffany has killed it in practice this year and bought the land to build her future office.
Oh, congratulations. And I take a double extra large shirt. Thank you, Tiffany.
That's awesome. And Brandy, thank you. We love you too. And we appreciate each one of you being with us this evening. Have a great night. See ya. Bye.
Bye.